Hey y'all, I'm back again with some truth telling. Today we're going to talk about something personal, something that I feel like everyone can relate to, but I'm going to speak from personal experience as I mentioned. And before we get into it, we want to just take a minute to thank everyone that's viewing, thank everyone that's open-minded, thank everyone who's have a subjective opinion. Feel free to drop that below. We're going to get started in just 1 minute. Hey y'all, so like I said, we're gonna get straight into this topic because this topic is so relevant. This is something that any times a lot of people that may not even be open to this perspective, they can still be able to relate and also have a different perspective about this concept or this abstraction. I'm at my brother's house, so if y'all ever hear him laughing, or if y'all ever hear, we're in an apartment complex, so if y'all ever hear anything that's altering, y'all already know how I get down. It's raw and it's part of my process. So on this journey, I appreciate all those little details that mark this time in this environment. Back to the topic though. The concept is going to be reasons why 9 to 5s don't work for me. So for a lot of people, they hate their jobs, but they'll stick to their job for 10 years. For whatever reason, that means something is aligned to them to do that. Whether it's something that has to do with a responsibility or something that has to do with just being custom to stability or structure, that works for them, because if it didn't work, they would not be doing it. And that's what I can say from self-experience. I worked a job for 3 years, and I did my love tour for about a year, and I ended up going back to that job, and it was so interesting to see how I've outgrown that concept of being in that structured environment. And I can say confidently that 9 to 5s don't work for me, not because of that job, even though that job was the longest I've ever been at a job. I can say that jobs don't work for me because I've explored a lot of aspects of jobs. I worked in the office, I worked with kids, babies, I've worked in stadiums with famous people, I've worked independently, meaning like on an aspect of real estate or flipping homes or connecting to people on that networking aspect, but it's still a structure under some capital. And I've also worked fast food, I mentioned. I've worked in a car dealership, office. I worked in clothing, which was like a uniform store. So only thing I've never done was work retail. But dang, Devin, hello, you were so loud. I'm sorry, like I hear your laugh more than my voice. Yeah, we're gonna keep this raw because he's just like that. I love his energy. I'm grateful to be here. But with all those places that I've been at, I can say that only thing that was gained was something that was financial. The growth of me was learned through experiences, and those experiences don't come from being in the same circumstance all the time. And that's probably why I wanted to transfer to multiple different type of jobs, because it took me a moment to really realize, is it me lacking the drive, or is it just the job that I was doing that was lacking the motivation and making me want to continue to do what that was. So I've concluded that it is the job, the concept of going somewhere that's taking me out of my spiritual path. And my spiritual path is developing myself. My spiritual path is understanding my emotions and understanding all the creativities, whether it be writing, whether it be recording videos, whether it be connecting to people. When I'm in a job, yes, I can gain money, but a lot of the money that I've obtained, I can lose it just as fast. And I don't even like to say lose. It was an investment for me, but in this investment, because I learned through experience that job meant nothing if I wasn't using it to my advantage, which with everything you should learn to use it to your advantage. But the job in itself was diminishing my spiritual journey and diminishing what I felt like was necessary for me to do, because those years that I've worked 2 jobs at one time, those years that, yes, I can say I was making enough money, it didn't really mean anything if I'm still in the state of having to depend on other people or to understand what it is I'm gonna do to make my life feel more stable. So now when I'm looking at it, did those jobs really mean anything? No, because the time that I've invested into those jobs, I can never get back, and that's what really means something. A lot of people don't really think about that aspect, but for me, a 9 to 5 matters to me only because of the fact that I like stability. But once I realized that no matter what I do, I can never predict what life is going to bring, it just made me realize that money cannot bring stability, and being comfortable with that is something that I have to learn, and now is why I can confidently say that 9 to 5s is not something that resonates. Another reason is just through the physical labor. I mentioned a lot of jobs. Some of those jobs I was just sitting at a table. Other of those jobs, it required me to be riding around constantly, like delivering things or dealing with kids or constantly working and multitasking, and that physical labor is enduring, and it's something that you invest with your physical body, a shell that you can obviously replenish through sleep or through good health, but you can never replenish age. So certain things, if you're working hard constantly, some people that's working in like construction or things where it requires a lot of manual labor and things of those sorts, that's excessive work, and it's like you're investing that into a capital that will replace you, because at that point you're just a body. And for me, that contributes to the spiritual aspect for me, because my journey is different from everyone else, and it also contributes to the fact that my emotional value, how I felt about myself, was a little bit depleted, because I knew that if I didn't do and go as hard as I could, then I would just be replaced. So how does that change your concept of living? How does that change your self-value in yourself? And I feel like 9 to 5s is something I just don't align with, because I don't agree with anyone feeling like their purpose is not valuable. I don't care if someone else can do what you're doing, they can't do it how you're doing, and do it how you're doing it. And that's something that I learn and appreciate now that I recognize my worth. And regardless of what a 9 to 5 could say, regardless if they find someone that could do it better than me or not, no one is going to do it like me. And that's something that makes me know that 9 to 5 does not necessarily align with me. Another aspect, if you want to speak more spiritual, because this world is a very spiritual world, and whatever you choose to do with it is your decision. You should do what works best for you. But humans, to me, are not meant to be consistent. One thing that's for sure in this realm, in this matrix, is growth. So if you're not growing, if you're waking up every day, and yes, you're growing old, your time is being invested, and that's something that you can never get back, no matter how much you try to hold yourself together. Time is never gonna be the same way that it was, but every day you go on to work, those walls are going to be the same. The concept of what you're doing is going to be the same, and that in itself, to me, feels like living dead. That makes you form a type of stability, yeah. It makes you form a form of structure, yeah, but you don't gain anything besides what you've already obtained. So once you learn how to do the job, sometimes, like when I was working at a juice bar, and I was so embedded in that job, because that was one of the jobs I had for a long time, that I would get into the job and lose my whole self, like so caught up. I can make a smoothie or make a drink without even thinking. And to me, at that point, not saying that I wouldn't grow from the people that I connected to, or that it was no purpose in that, but what I've learned now, being in this place of not having to work, I realized that really is not conducive to any form of growth. Really, it's just really making you be more of a robot, and we're not robots. Humans, if you stay in one place, to me, that's the definition of living dead. If you stay in a home 25 years and you're trying to build, that's a beautiful thing, because sometimes that helps another generation do what they have to do and get them in the right place of knowing that they have assurance or they have a place to go to. But with my life and my life purpose, which is a 5, I know that that's not aligned with what I'm supposed to do, and I'm having to appreciate that, because when I was in that place, in that state of living dead, my soul was sad. My soul was sad because I was sick. I woke up sore. I woke up extremely tired, no matter how many hours I slept, no matter how much I tried to submerge those emotions under outer things like friends or doing being around substances that weren't really even good for my body, even though it got rid of those thoughts that I was hurting myself. All those things that made up me were being depleted because of the concept of wanting to stay consistent and stable and be a robot, which is not me. And a lot of people these days, they're so willing to do that for someone else, but if it were to come to them investing in something that is their purpose, something that they're aligned to, they won't even know how to give that energy to it. And that's the part that's scary, because some people, they don't know how to do it. They're so used to being told what to do, and there's some people that they're fearful of investing all that in there, and they'll be more comfortable investing it into a job because they know for sure they're going to get instant gratification or a check, which is for sure. And that concept is just so interesting to me, because nothing is for sure, but anything that people could try to assume and get that form of comfort from, and allow them to know that whatever they're doing is going to continue to make them live this form of comfort, a lot of people attract to that. And I'm not the one to judge, but for me, I feel like that is not enough. So that's all a job or a 9 to 5. And I'm being particular with saying a 9 to 5 because you have to do what you got to do. In this world, money makes the world go around. So you have to figure out how to make your money work. And sometimes you have to humble yourself and do what you got to do, even if it makes you uncomfortable. But you have to realize why you're doing it, and that's essential. A lot of people just doing it just because the fact of that's what they feel like they need to do because of tradition or because of what's being told to them particularly. And I don't feel like that aligns to everyone. I definitely don't feel like it aligns to me. So with that concept, it's just like a unbalanced energy exchange. You're giving to something that you can't even say would be reliable to you, because if you fuck up or if something happened to you, that job could be very well gone. And there's some jobs where you could go on breaks or vacations and sorts, or they would look out for you depending on how much you've invested. But even still, you are still replaceable. So you have to be so mindful of that. No matter how many years you put into it, all they could give you is some financial stability, which even that, like I mentioned, could be gone. That's not something that lasts. But with me and my experiences in traveling, I love that. I love being able to know new things, even though I'm always pushing myself and battling these programs in my mind, and made me feel like that's not what it's supposed to be worth. And the reason why I push forward with that, and I know that I don't want to be confined to a 9 to 5, and instead I'd rather embrace myself and my purpose, is because I feel like the wisdom that is gained through just simply taking a road trip and connecting with people outside of those barriers of my hometown teaches me so much about myself. Only through being around different environments can you learn more about yourself. And yes, you can always learn more about your emotions just from meditation or source of that, but even still, it takes digging deeper past just the surface of things. And the 9 to 5 is absolutely surface, and that's why we do the same thing, look at the same people, and feel the same way every time you walk through the door. Sometimes that energy is so potent that you don't even know why you're mad. You go in feeling good, and as soon as you get into the job, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm here, or damn, it's Friday. Those concepts where you get more connected to the time, or you get more connected to negative energies of knowing that you're never gonna get what you're worth, those things are confinements. And that's how I look at it. It's unbalanced energy exchange, because everyone knows that they're never going to get paid what they deserve for what it is that they're doing. And some people get paid reasonably well, but to me, that's just a reflection of what you're putting in most times, hopefully. And it's unsatisfying. It leads to depression. It leads to draining energy, and that could be filtered out in anger and all other aspects. So with me, 9 to 5s, not saying that they don't serve a purpose. For some people, they need that stability. But for me, I feel like a 9 to 5 is never going to be satisfying, no matter what it is that I'm doing. And even if I have to work to get where I have to go, I know that my purpose is for me to fulfill more. It's for me to grow and see new things, and I'm grateful for this path. So yeah, there's reasons why 9 to 5s don't work for me.